Number 20. Only 10% of the mid-latitude rainforest in the Pacific Northwest remains untouched. Forests in their natural condition once masked the area. This has been replaced by a checkered mosaic composed of plots of bare ground, recently replanted commercial saplings, and some mature forests. This type of land cover threatens the habitat of many plants and animals. Current conditions represent a chronically degrading environmental condition. The U.S. Forest Service, under public pressure and court orders, has altered the former approved clear-cutting strategy. Now, some mature trees are left standing with the hope of encouraging a more natural regeneration of forest lands. Throughout the tropics, a pattern of replacing numerous species with a few favored ones is common. In particular, eucalyptus has been preferred over existing local species because it is fast-growing, and when cut for coppicing, its shoots quickly develop into new tree growth. However, the oil in its leaves results in a ground litter that inhibits undergrowth, with the result that soil erosion occurs. Hence, reforestation utilizing eucalyptus trees is not environmentally friendly. Number 21. One particular problem that people sometimes struggle with is avoiding the use of masculine pronouns to refer to both men and women. Students often argue that using he or his is less cumbersome than writing he or she or his or her. As an alternative, you can rephrase a sentence to use a gender-neutral plural pronoun. The sentence, "A doctor should be polite to his patients," excludes the possibility of female doctors. But doctors should be polite to their patients makes the same point without the gender bias. In the same way, you can replace masculine terms to refer to humans with gender-inclusive alternatives. Instead of saying, man cannot live without water, you could say one cannot live without water, or people cannot live without water. Avoiding sexist language isn't all that difficult, but it may take conscious effort. The payoff is more effective interpersonal communication. Number 22. The need for distinctiveness is a basic human need to which sport fandom can contribute. Although humans want to feel a sense of belonging with those around them, they simultaneously have a need to be different and unique. The fundamental need for uniqueness is best understood through Brewer's optimal distinctiveness theory. According to this framework, individuals strive for two sometimes opposing social goals: inclusion and differentiation. These goals are best satisfied through identification with distinctive groups that satisfy both needs simultaneously. Given that brand consumption is associated with desires to be unique, it seems reasonable that individuals use sport fandom as an opportunity to meet their need for distinction by selectively choosing to follow non-mainstream sports or less popular teams. For instance, individuals can partially meet their need for uniqueness by identifying with a distant team or rooting for an underdog. Number 23. Chunking is vital for cognition of music. If we had to encode it in our brains note by note, we'd struggle to make sense of anything more complex than the simplest children's songs. Of course, most accomplished musicians can play compositions containing many thousands of notes entirely from memory, without a note out of place. But this seemingly awesome accomplishment of recall is made possible by remembering the musical process, not the individual notes as such. If you ask a pianist to start a Mozart sonata from bar 41, she'll probably have to mentally replay the music from the start until reaching that bar. The score is not simply laid out in her mind to be read from any arbitrary point. It's rather like describing how you drive to work. You don't reel off the names of roads as an abstract list, but have to construct your route by mentally retreading it. When musicians make a mistake during rehearsal, They wind back to the start of a musical phrase. Let's take it from the second verse, before restarting. Rather than remembering music note by note, we process music as groups of musical tones. So when we want to remember a specific part of a song, we retrace our way through the larger part it belongs to. Number 24 through 25. What is wrong with pseudoscience? Certainly not just that it is basically false, since anyway, all our factual theories are at best partially true. What is wrong with pseudoscience is first that it refuses to ground its doctrines, and could not do it because pseudoscience makes a total break with our scientific heritage, which is not the case of scientific revolutions, all of which are partial, since every new idea has to be judged by means of others that are not questioned in the given context. Second, pseudoscience refuses to test its doctrines by experiment proper. Moreover, it is largely untestable because it tends to interpret all data in such a way that its theses are confirmed no matter what happens. The pseudoscientist, like the fisherman, exaggerates his catch and neglects his failures or excuses them. Third, pseudoscience lacks a self-correction mechanism. It cannot learn from either fresh empirical information, which it swallows without digesting it, new scientific discoveries, which it looks down on, or criticism, which it rejects furiously. It can make no progress because it manages to interpret every failure as confirmation and every criticism as an attack. Differences of opinion among its believers, when such disagreements arise at all, lead to endless sect splitting rather than to progress. Fourth, the primary aim of pseudoscience is not to set up, test, and correct systems of hypotheses, theories, mapping reality, but to influence things and men. It has, like magic and like technology, a primarily practical aim rather than a cognitive one. But unlike magic, it presents itself as science, and unlike technology, it does not enjoy the backing of science. Numbers 26 through 28. On a beautiful spring afternoon, a softball game was held between rivals Central Washington University and Western Oregon University. Western's Sarah Tucholsky had never hit a home run, not even in batting practice. Then, in the second inning, she smashed the ball over the center field fence. With two players on base, it would be a 3-run shot. Thrilled, Tucholsky sprinted toward first base, but as she watched the ball clear the fence, she missed first base. When she stopped quickly to go back and touch it, something in her knee gave out. She fell to the ground. In terrible pain, Tucholsky crawled through the dirt back to first base. The Western coach rushed onto the field. The umpires told the coach it was against the rules for Tucholsky's Western teammates to help her around the bases. The coach could substitute a runner for her, but then the hit would be judged a single. The only home run of Tucholsky's 4-year career would be erased. The coach didn't know what to do. That's when Mallory Holtman stepped in. Holtman played first base for the other team. She was also Central Washington's all-time home run leader. She knew that if her team lost the game, their playoff hopes would probably be gone. But after listening to the coach and umpire for a while, she asked a question. Is the other team allowed to carry her around the bases? The umpires said there was nothing in the rule book against it. So Holtman and Central's shortstop, Liz Wallace, walked over and helped Tucholsky up. Carrying her, they resumed the home run walk. At each base, they paused to let Tucholsky touch it with her uninjured leg. Holtman said, "I wonder what this must look like to other people." The 3 players burst out laughing. The other people in the stadium weren't laughing, though. They were shedding tears at seeing such a moving act of sportsmanship. Tucholsky's Western team ended up winning the game 4-2. Afterward, someone realized that the umpires had made a mistake. The rules did allow a substitute runner after all, but it really didn't matter. In the end, it's not about winning and losing so much, said Holtman. It was about this girl. She hit it over the fence and was in pain, and she deserved a home run.